third part of ISRO SAC Space Application Center Technician B Electronics previous year question paper with detailed solution, exam held in 2018. Up to question number 46 we discussed in the previous two videos. Question number 47. Main purpose of laminating a transformer core is to decrease its answer is option B, eddy current. Transformer cores are laminated in order to minimize core loss. By providing laminations, the area of each part gets reduced and hence resistance will get very high, which limits the eddy current to a minimum, and hence eddy current losses gets reduced. The laminations provide small gaps between the plates. As it is easier for magnetic flux to flow through iron than air or coil, the stray flux or leakage flux that can cause core losses is minimized. 48. The resistivity of the conductor depends on answer is option C, type of material. Resistivity of any conductor is the property of the material, so it is independent of shape and the size. It depends on the material of the conductor. Resistivity, the measure of the resistance of a specific material to electrical conduction is called resistivity. It is a property of any material or conductor. Difference between resistance and resistivity. Resistance, the property of any conductor that opposes the flow of electric current through it and depends on the shape and size, that is length and area of the material. Temperature and nature of the material is called resistance. Resistivity, the property of a conductor that opposes the flow of electric current through them and independent of the shape and size, that is length and area of the material, but depends on the temperature and nature of the material is called resistivity. The SI unit of resistance is ohm and the SI unit of resistivity is ohm meter. Resistance is not a constant term for a given material. It can change it by changing the length or cross-sectional area of that material. Resistivity is a constant term for a given material. It does not change by changing the length or cross-sectional area of the material. Question number 49. Current sensitivity of a meter is expressed in answer is option C, ohm per volt. Sensitivity, it is defined as the ratio of the changes in the output of an instrument to a changes in the value of the quantity being measured. It denotes the smallest changes in the measured variable to which the instrument responds. Sensitivity is equal to change in output divided by unit change input. The sensitivity of an instrument is determined by dividing the sum of the resistance of the meter Rm and the series resistance Rs by the full scale reading in volts. Sensitivity equal to Rm plus Rs by E. Therefore, the unit is ohm per volt. That is unit of Rm and Rs, that is resistance. Unit is ohm and E, that is full scale reading in volts. Therefore, unit is ohm per volts. Sensitivity is also equal to reciprocal of the full scale deflection current. That is sensitivity equal to 1 by ampere. 50. Demodulation is opposite of modulation. Demodulation is defined as extracting the original information carrying signal from a modulated carrier wave. A demodulator is an electronic circuit that is mainly used to recover the information content from the modulated carrier wave. 51. A 20 microfarad is connected in parallel with a 30 microfarad capacitor. The effective capacitance is dash microfarad. This is 50 microfarad. Given 20 microfarad is connected in parallel with a 30 microfarad capacitor, then effective capacitance is C1 plus C2 in parallel connection. Therefore, 20 microfarad plus 30 microfarad gives 50 microfarad. That is equivalent capacitance of capacitors connected in series. When n capacitors C1, C2, C3 up to Cn are connected in series, the net capacitance Cs is given by 1 by Cs equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 up to 1 by Cn. Connected in parallel, when n capacitors C1, C2, C3 up to Cn are connected in parallel, the net capacitance Cp is given by Cp equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 up to Cn. When does maximum power transfer happen from the source to the load? Answer is option D, when the source resistance equals to load resistance. Maximum power transfer theorem. It states that in a linear bilateral network, if the entire network is represented by its Thevenin equivalent circuit, Then the maximum power transferred from the source to the load when the load impedance is equal to the complex conjugate of Thevenin's impedance. For maximum power transfer, RL equal to RS. P max equal to Vs square divided by 4 RL. 53. In a digital calculator, what is used for display purpose? Answer is option D, liquid crystal display. LCD. Liquid crystal display consists of a large number of pixels or picture elements consisting of liquid crystal molecules held between two sets of transparent electrodes. The liquid crystals react in predictable ways when the electrical charge running between those electrodes is charged, meaning they twist and move in ways that let different amounts and colors of light through the crystals. When compared to the other types of flat panel display, that is plasma, LCDs tend to be found on the smaller size of the spectrum. Advantages and disadvantages of LCD. Advantages: extremely high resolution. It has no geometric distortion. It is very compact, thin and light CRT displays. It does not affect by the magnetic fields. Due to low power consumption, small heat emitted during operation. Disadvantages of LCD. In high temperature environments, there is a loss of contrast, limited viewing angle and brightness. It requires an additional light source. It consumes a lot of electricity, which produces a lot of heat. It has individually liquid crystals which can't complete all blocks of the backlight. We can also analyze the other remaining options. CRT, cathode ray tube. It is a vacuum tube containing one or more electron guns which emit electron beam that are manipulated to display images on a phosphorescent screen. The images may represent electrical waveform, that is oscilloscopes, picture, television set, computer monitor, radar target or other phenomena. This is the diagram of CRT. A CRT on a television set is commonly called a picture tube. CRTs have also been used as memory devices, in which case the screen is not intended to be visible to an observer. The term cathode ray was used to describe electron beams when they were first discovered. Before it was understood that what was emitted from the cathode was a beam of electrons. 54. Without a DC source, a clipper circuit acts like a answer is option B, rectifier. A clipper is a device that removes either the positive half or negative half or both positive and negative halves of the input AC signal. The clipping or removal of the input AC signal is done in such a way that the remaining part of the AC signal will not be distorted. That is, positive half cycles are removed by using series positive clipper. In a clipper circuit, if the DC source is set to 0 voltage, then the circuit acts as rectifier. One of the basic clipping devices is the half-wave rectifier. A half-wave rectifier removes either the positive or negative half cycle of the input AC signal, so that the half-wave rectifier acts as a clipper circuit. A clamper circuit can be defined as a circuit that consists of a diode, a resistor and a capacitor that shift a waveform to the desired DC level without changing the actual appearance of the applied signal. 55. A semiconductor material has dash bonds. Answer is option B, covalent bonds. Conductors. Conductors are formed by metallic bonds. These bonds are based on a structure of positive metal ions surrounded by a cloud of electrons. Conductors have a positive temperature coefficient of resistivity. That is, their resistivity increases with the rise in temperature and vice versa. Conductors are used for carrying current in electric circuits. Semiconductors are formed by covalent bonds. Semiconductors have a negative temperature coefficient of resistivity. That is, their resistivity decreases with the rise in temperature and vice versa. Example, carbon, silicon, etc. Semiconductors are used in the manufacture of electronic devices. Example, crystal diodes, transistors. Insulators. Insulators are predominantly covalent bonds. The covalent electrons are tightly locked with neighboring atoms and are not available to support the flow of current. Insulators have a negative temperature coefficient of resistivity. That is, their resistivity decreases with the rise in temperature and vice versa. Insulators are used to confine the current to the desired path. 56. Ideal material for making electromagnet is, answer is option D, cobalt steel. The material suitable for making electromagnet should have high retentivity and low coercivity. Coercivity is usually measured in oersted or ampere per meter and is denoted in Hc. When the coercive field of a ferromagnet is large, the material is said to be hard or permanent magnet. Electromagnet consists of coils, usually copper wrapped tightly around a laminated core of ferromagnetic material, soft iron, steel or cobalt. The coiled wire will generate a magnetic field when an electric current passes through it. However, the magnetic field disappears the moment the current stops. When an electric current flows in a wire, it creates a magnetic field around the wire. This effect can be used to make an electromagnet. A simple electromagnet comprises a length of wire turned into a and connected to a battery or power supply. The main advantage of an electromagnet over a permanent magnet is that the magnetic field can be quickly changed by controlling the amount of electric current in the winding. However, unlike a permanent magnet that needs no power, an electromagnet requires a continuous supply of current to maintain the magnetic field. 57. An ideal constant voltage source has dash resistance. Answer is option C, 0. Internal resistance is the opposition to the flow of current inside the cells and batteries. This internal resistance is responsible for the heating up of cells or batteries. Source and internal resistance. Ideal voltage source, internal resistance is 0. Ideal current source, internal resistance is infinite. While applying Kirchhoff's laws to electronic circuits, assumed direction of current flow must be. Answer is option either A or B, clockwise or from left to right. Kirchhoff's first law, junction rule or KCL. The algebraic sum of currents meeting at a junction is 0. In a circuit, at any junction, current entering the junction must be equal to the sum of currents leaving the junction. This law is simply a statement of conservation of charge. As if the current reaching a junction is not equal to the current leaving the junction, the charge will not be conserved. Kirchhoff's second law, loop rule or KVL. The algebraic sum of the charges or changes in potential in the complete transversal of a mesh closed loop is 0. This law represents conservation of energy. As if the sum of potential charges around a closed loop is not 0, unlimited energy could be gained by repeatedly carrying a charge around a loop. 59. In Hartley oscillator, the frequency of oscillation f equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC, where L is equal to, answer is option A, L1 plus L2. Hartley oscillator, often referred to as a split inductance oscillator because coil L is center tapped. The design uses two inductive coils in series with a parallel capacitor to form its resonant tank circuit, producing sinusoidal oscillations. The frequency of oscillation in Hartley oscillator f equal to 1 by Ln is mistake. The frequency of Hartley oscillator is f equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC, where L equal to L1 plus L2. Type of oscillator and approximate frequency range. Crystal oscillator, that is fixed frequency. Tickler feedback oscillator, approximate frequency range is nearly fixed frequency. For Weinberg oscillator, approximate frequency range is 1 Hz to 1 MHz. For phase shift oscillator, approximate frequency range is 1 Hz to 10 MHz. Hartley oscillator, approximate frequency range is 10 kHz to 100 MHz. For Colpite oscillator also, the approximate frequency range is 10 kHz to 100 MHz. 60. Decimal equivalent of binary number 01010100 is. Answer is option D, 84. The corresponding power of 2 according to the digit 0 is 2 raised to 7, for 1 2 raised to 6, for 0 2 raised to 5, the next one 2 raised to 4, etc. etc. Equivalent decimal number we can calculate is 0 into 2 raised to 7 plus 1 into 2 raised to 6 plus 0 into 2 raised to 5 plus 1 into 2 raised to 4 plus 0 into 2 raised to 3 plus 1 into 2 raised to 2 plus 0 into 2 raised to 1 plus 0 into 2 raised to 0. That after simplifying we get answer as 84. 61. A 20 volt DC source is connected to a series combination of 10 ohm resistor and a 10 microfarad capacitor. What will be the current to the circuit under steady state? Answer is option D, 0 ampere. The capacitive reactance X equal to 1 by omega C, where omega equal to 2 pi F. Therefore, X equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. For a DC voltage of 10 volt, the frequency is 0. That is F equal to 0. Under steady state, that t tends to infinity, the capacitor will act as open circuit because it will offer infinite resistance. Therefore, at a steady state, current will be 0 ampere. 62. If three resistors 1.5 kilo ohm, 200 ohm and 3300 ohm resistors are in series with a 25 volt source, what is the total circuit current? Answer is option C, 5 milliampere. Given V equal to 25 volt, total resistance R equivalent equal to 1.5 kilo ohm plus 0.2 kilo ohm plus 3.3 kilo ohm. We get total resistance R equivalent as 5 kilo ohm or 5000 ohm. By Ohm's law, I equal to V by R. Substituting the values of V and R, we get I equal to 5 milliampere. 63. Which one of the following is not true? Answer is option C, 1 micro ohm equal to 10 raised to minus 9 ohm. That is wrong. Correct, 1 micro ohm equal to 10 raised to minus 6 ohm. 1 pico ohm is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 ohm. In AM receiver, the oscillator frequency is always higher than the signal frequency. The most typical AM receiver circuit is the super heterodyne receiver. In the receiver circuit, the total oscillator frequency FLO equal to FRF plus FIF, where FRF is the radio or signal frequency, FIF is the intermediate frequency. Since for AM broadcast, the typical intermediate frequency is 455 kHz. Therefore, FLO equal to FRF plus 455. Therefore, that is FLO is higher than the signal frequency by 455 kHz. Parameters for AM and FM. Must by heart this table. Carrier frequency for AM it is 540 to 1700 kHz. For FM it is 88.1 to 107.9 MHz. The carrier spacing for AM is 10 kHz and for FM it is 200 kHz. Intermediate frequency for AM is 455 kHz. For FM it is 10.7 kHz. IF bandwidth for AM is 6 to 10 kHz. For FM it is 200 to 250 kHz. Audio bandwidth for AM is 3 to 5 kHz. For FM it is 15 kHz. Electronic components which are made of semiconductor material are often called, answer is option A, solid state. Solid state is a common descriptor used to refer to electronic components, devices and systems based entirely on semiconductor material such as silicon, germanium or gallium arsenide. 66. Power dissipated in an ideal diode is, answer is option B, 0. Power dissipation is the process of loss of power in the form of heat due to primary action. It is a naturally occurring process. The power dissipated in the diode P equal to VI, where V is the voltage and I is the current. For ideal diode, the VI characteristics is shown in the figure. And therefore, for ideal diode, V and I are 0. Therefore, P equal to 0 watt. Which one of the following components are active components? Answer is option B, an op-amp, a BJT and a thermionic triode. Active components and passive components differences. Nature of source. For active components deliver power or energy to the circuit. Passive components utilizes power or energy from the circuit. Function. Devices which produce energy in the form of voltage or current in active components, while DC components devices which store energy in the form of voltage or current. Power gain. In active components, they are capable of providing power gain. Passive components are incapable of providing power gain. Flow of current. Active components can control the flow of current, while passive components cannot control the flow of current. Requirement of external source. They require external source for the operation in active components, and in passive components they do not require any external source for the operations. Nature of energy. Active components are energy donors. Passive components are energy acceptors. Examples: diode, transistors, SCR, integrated circuits are the active components. Examples of passive components are resistor, capacitor, inductor. 68. Moisture content in the soil dash the earth soil resistance decrease is the answer. Soil resistivity is a measure of how much the soil resists or conduct electrical current. It is a critical factor in the design of system that rely on passing a current through the earth's surface. The resistivity of the soil depends on various factors like soil composition, moisture, temperature, etc. The resistivity of the soil varies with the depth. The lower layers of the soil have greater moisture content and lower resistivity. With the increase in moisture content, the resistivity decreases and hence soil resistance decreases. The last question in this video is 69. In the cable, location of fault usually found out by comparing. Answer is option C, the capacitance of insulated conductors. In the cable, location of fault usually found out by comparing the capacitance of insulated conductors. Thank you.